Brands on Brands.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This week we're talking about your personal branding trends for 2022. It's the year of remote work. That's right, the year of remote work. Check it out.
In a world where content is king and your reputation is your brand, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands, a home for those that think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here is your host, Brandon Birkmeyer.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Birkmeyer, your personal branding coach, and I believe that building a brand that matters is the only way for a person to thrive tomorrow. And today, this week, we are talking about personal branding trends for 2022. That's right. We're diving into the things to look forward to in the personal branding space in 2022. And I'm calling it the year of remote work. That's what we're diving into today. But if this is your first time listening, make sure to go to brandsonbrands.com and check out our resources, freebies, and free giveaways. Also, if you're looking to build your personal brand in 2022, make sure to reach out. And on our website, you'll find an application to our Personal Branding Academy, where we look at how to build your podcast, your brand, and everything else. Check that out. That's brandsonbrands.com/PBA. I hope to see you guys there. And without further ado, let's jump into the show.
Brands on Brands.
All right, let's get going. 2022 personal branding trends. That's right. What are the trends looking like for 2022? What should you expect in the personal branding space? And what I'd like to say is we should expect more people. Let's welcome more people into this personal branding universe. That's right. I'm calling it the year of remote work. And why is that? Well, given our past trajectory in the past 2 years, what we are seeing is more and more people working remote, whether that is because their corporation has allowed them to work from home digitally, either full-time or part-time, or because more people have left the workforce and started their own companies, or have been unemployed by the workforce and are looking to start side gigs or their own programs or entrepreneurial ventures. What that means is a lot more people in the digital working economy. And what that means is remote work. It means people who are virtually finding ways to build income. And that trend creates a lot of opportunity, right? So here are the three things that leads to, that remote work, that more people entering the workforce leads to. And it's all connected to personal branding because this is more people who are looking to build their own online reputation, because you cannot work online in a digital environment without thinking about what you are representing yourself as and what your reputation is online. So there are three things that are contributing to this trend. Number one is mobility. There are more people now that have realized that what remote work will unlock for them is the opportunity for more mobility. Now, mobility means you have more freedom in a lot of areas. What it means is freedom of location, right? You can work from home. You can move to a new area that might be more income adjusted to what you might be making now post-pandemic. It might be more opportunistic, where you can move to where there might be more places for you to find income, both online and offline. And it all is grounded in this idea that if you can build an economic income for yourself, for your family, that is derived in some way, shape, or form digitally, then you are free to then make your expenses not so location dependent. In other words, you're building in, let's say, even if you make half this year, what you made last year, if you could move anywhere in the country, you could easily jump around to somewhere, decrease your expenses, and be living better than you lived before. Mobility is the key to this. And remote work has unlocked that. In other words, a lot more of our jobs, a lot of those skills are now translating into a digital environment. You may not need to be in person to make a sales call. You may not need to be in person to have a consultation. You may not need to be in person to manage your customer service. All those jobs can now be managed online through virtual communication. And that changes things. When your meetings in person are replaced by meetings online, it changes the game. So remote work is being driven by the changes in mobility, right? So you now have an opportunity to diversify where you live, to also change the way you make money. You're now, because you are home and you're not in an office physically 8 hours a day and driving to that office sometimes an hour a day, it gives you more opportunity to fill your day with other digital jobs that you may be able to do in a multitasking way while you're doing other work. And now your job, instead of being dependent on hours, is dependent on projects. So you completing a project for one company does not no longer stops you from completing a project from a second company. Now, that obviously depends on your non-competes with your companies and what the nature of your work is. However, there is more opportunity than ever to add income streams, which will add stability to the average person's income, which is what we are all looking for in this kind of world where the economy has changed and our job opportunities have changed. And you've already seen this. You've seen companies that are having more and more trouble finding the staff they need to complete their work. So what they have to do is be more flexible. They have to give people opportunities to work remote. They have to allow people new hybrids type of working where they can work a few hours instead of full time to complete project by project. That is an opportunity for people, especially in the personal branding space. If you want to be that person they hire, you don't have to change the way you represent yourself online. The other piece of mobility has to do with your time. Your time is now owned by you, and how you become more efficient at using that time is the next step. How do you show up? Where do you communicate? What meetings do you show up to? How do you deploy your highest skills in a digital way? That's all the first level of this. So the second level of the 2022 personal branding trends, which is all about the year of remote work, is about digital community. As we are breaking away from the corporate environments and we are working online more, it means that there are new relationships forming. People are still looking for connection, but they're finding it virtually. They're finding it via new communities, whether because they've moved to new physical locations or because they are now connecting more within virtual communities, whether it be a Facebook group or some kind of community-based interest association, or they're joining clubs, they're joining co-working spaces now because they're working from co-working spaces instead of offices, or just because they are now want to bond with other people that do what they do because they realize their network matters more than it ever has. So they're joining little groups and communities that are all based on their interest or their skills, whether it's a community for marketers or for accountants or people in finance or communities of people in real estate or community peoples in coaching or in fitness. They are finding like-minded individuals and bonding with them in a virtual way by people who are hosting these communities that are becoming leaders in the space. Those communities are changing the way relationships are formed. It changes the way we think about and talk to other people. And there are now new technologies that allow that to be easier than ever, beyond Facebook even, which is the biggest one. But now there's Discord communities for groups like this. There are Slack communities for groups like this. And then they're formed within, it could be a membership that you're joining for a low fee each month, a fee of some sort, or it could be something higher level mastermind where you're paying for some coaching of some skill that you're learning and then joining these communities. That community level engagement also contributes to personal branding because your reputation, again, starts digitally. So you have to start to say, how am I representing myself and my personal brand online? When I connect in these digital communities, what shows up? What do I look like? What is the profile that I'm building? What am I saying in the blurbs on these digital profiles? What are the images I'm using to represent myself? What does my background look like on these virtual calls? What do people find when they search for my information on Google and on social platforms like LinkedIn and on Facebook? What are they finding? Which means more attention being paid to personal brands beyond the people who are just trying to show up and become an expert or a thought leader or a coach of some sort. The average everyday person working in a corporate environment in a white collar job now has to start thinking about their personal brand. We have new people entering the space, which will mean that digital personal branding becomes more common, that your bar is raised. You can't just show up. You actually have to show up very clearly, with clarity and purpose about what you represent, what you are looking for, who you are for, and how you want to stand out in that environment where more people are showing up. The third piece to this personal branding trend, beyond remote work and beyond digital communities, is this element we're diving into, which is online reputation. Your online reputation is no longer just your social media profile. Your online reputation is now the people you're connected with and the things you create, the things you say, the things you create online. What does that mean? That means people have to be more intentional about the content they are creating, because now that you are online, everything is capturable. So whether you are just showing up or showing up and engaging, the engagements you have reflect back on you. And the best way to get ahead of that and to create what people find about you online is to create content. So content creation now becomes not a luxury, not something for influencers. Content creation becomes critical to online reputation management. Content creation becomes your resume. Your content becomes your resume. So the new skills of creating content, of writing articles, writing blogs, writing posts online, and even the more advanced skills of podcasting and video creation all become new pools of education and skills that people will be tapping into. Because like everything else, as you enter new places, you have to acquire new skills. And in the online reputation space, content creation is key. So it's not just going to be how do I grow my Instagram or how do I look more professional on Instagram and LinkedIn. It's going to go beyond that to how do I create content? How do I build a portfolio website, or just a website where when people look for me, they find what I want them to find? How do I do that in a way that makes sense in a corporate environment where I still have a job, where it matters how I represent myself, that is more portfolio driven as opposed to business driven, right? Where you are looking for people that will hire you without disengaging with the corporations that might already employ you. All that's a balance. And that new environment is all driven by this trend of remote work. It's all driven by this trend of remote work, which is, in my perspective, a giant opportunity for people to diversify and start to think about how do you set up more safety in your system, in your life. In other words, what's the balance going to be so that you are now more independent than you've ever been because you've diversified your income to not just being corporately employed, but to being corporately flexible, to be employed by them in a way that you determine, whether it's full-time, part-time, freelance, hybrid, remote, whatever it is, and what you build on top of that with your spare time, what you can be building in the background that can be the sustaining piece that gets you through the ebbs and flows of a corporate environment. That's the new. That's the new approach, is building systems that allow you to survive the up and downs of an unbalanced equation. So hope that's helpful for you guys today. That's my thoughts on the trends for 2022. Remote work continuing to grow, continuing to be an integral part of all of our lives, and it affecting us, affecting the way we live our lives, affecting the way we set ourselves up in terms of mobility, in terms of where we live and how we live and the time we spend, affecting us in terms of the communities we attach to and we bond with, and affecting us in terms of the ways we think about managing our online reputations. That's what I got for you guys today. I hope you guys invest in your personal brand and continue to think about how you represent yourself online and offline, leveraging the power of your voice, your perspective, and the opportunity that's out there for someone like you, an individual, to go out there and create the opportunities in front of them. Appreciate you guys listening every week to our show. And as always, I will catch you next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to help you build a brand that matters. Head over to brandsonbrands.com for resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandsonbrands.com.